Many of my reflections seek to make the world a better place today by educating and advocating for dementia, mental health, and other neurological conditions. Now, this reflection is addressed to our YouTube and blog subscribers who wish to learn more about mental health issues, editors of local, regional, and national media and publications, and many of these reflections can be the basis of an essay. Fellow Rotarians whose clubs are searching for speakers, and many of these speakers will be available to Rotary Clubs in Southeast Florida, and organizations including churches, cities, nursing colleges, and mental health organizations who would like to sponsor health and wellness seminars to educate the public on mental health issues. My personal crusade is to promote greater mental health awareness through the media and the various Rotary Clubs. This crusade is in reaction to a rather horrifying experience when, as treasurer of my condominium association, I halted the foreclosure of a destitute owner with advanced dementia who had no family. This sparked our condominium war, where only a few fellow owners supported my efforts to have the court assign him a guardian who could place him in an appropriate lockdown facility, sell his unit, and pay his overdue condominium maintenance fees. His demented behavior had turned most of his neighbors, and perhaps his sister, against him. Today, our condominium association is forming a committee to determine how to help our neighbors who suffer from dementia and mental health issues. What would have happened had the foreclosure continued? Since the local police supervise evictions, quite likely they would have referred him to the proper agency so he could be placed in a facility, or maybe not. Even though our local police agency is encouraging their police officers to become aware of dementia-related issues, this is a learning process, and it will take time for this to become second nature with many officers. Now, what would happen if a demented patient is turned out on the street by the eviction? If a demented patient is not found within 2 days, there's a 1 in 4 chance he'll be found face down in a ditch or a canal. But if someone is not looking for the demented patients, the odds are worse. We plan to lobby the Florida legislature to require condominium property managers and board members to learn the basics of when they should suspect mental health conditions and who to call for diagnosis and assistance. This would be part of their professional examinations and education. In 2017, Steve Leifman, an associate administrative judge for the 11th Judicial Circuit in Miami-Dade County, was one of the authors of an article in the Atlantic magazine, How Mental Health Training for Police Can Save Lives and Taxpayer Dollars. And this reflection updates the Atlantic article with information from the Miami-Dade website. Why the original article was so short is inexplicable. You could easily hold a reader's attention for 5,000 or 10,000 words on these topics. Plus, it will be an opportunity to discuss incorporating more dementia awareness training in his department. We have a reflection on how church groups, small cities, Rotary Clubs, and other organizations can sponsor their own health and wellness seminars and include discussions on dementia and mental illness. People are more likely to attend health and wellness seminars that reveal how they can become healthier and wealthier. Thus, we anchor them with presentations by law firms, hospitals, doctors, health insurance firms, or other paid sponsors. These paid sponsorship contributions should be donated to a charity like the Alzheimer's Association or NAMI. And we prefer Saturday events where there's no time pressure. And senior citizens are also attracted by free lunches and maybe free blood pressure readings at the end. And if you're curious about neurological diseases and conditions, you'll find the story of Phineas Gage fascinating. Every series of introductory psychology lectures tells us his story. Every medical student will likely read the equally fascinating collection of neurological case studies in The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. When the fourth wife of Glenn Campbell described their life from the decade before his dementia diagnosis, and then his diagnosis and how his dementia evolved until his passing, she gifted us probably the most complete case study of someone suffering from Alzheimer's. The daughter of Rita Hayworth was one of the original fundraisers for the fledgling Alzheimer's Association, as her mother was one of the first celebrities to admit their diagnosis. Tony Bennett also suffered from dementia, and the story of Glenn Campbell's and Tony Bennett's final concerts are touching. And the book, Travelers to Unimaginable Lands, contains case studies of caretakers of those who suffer from dementia and other neurological disorders, which would be a great encouragement for those facing the challenges of living with these disorders. The Alzheimer's Association has about a dozen presentations that their staff and volunteers can deliver in your community. We invite the Alzheimer's Association to provide speakers for each of our health and wellness seminars. Alan Dupuy, who spoke on mental illness, teaches nursing at Broward College. Before he retired, he was Director of Behavioral Health at University Hospital Medical Center. He also spoke on the International Seafarer Ministry of Miami This is also a potential Rotary project. Many of the crew cannot leave the ship when they dock. Your club or your church could adopt a cargo ship, and when they dock in port, you can assist with holiday meals and companionship. And we also have reflections on aging, suicide, health, and other topics. Often talented writers break into the general interest magazines with an article with unique personal experiences, and if you can add Stoic perspectives, so much the better. Which means I am definitely an expert on aging, and my article includes the best quotes and insights from when my parents departed to sing with Elvis, and how I celebrate the main advantage of drawing Social Security. An imminent proposed essay will piece together the best of my series of reflections on aging and retirement. When discussing aging and retirement, many ancient Stoic philosophers discuss suicide. However, it is a gross simplification to simply say that Stoics condone suicide. There is no doubt that suicide was tolerated more in the ancient world than today, likely because few pain-killing drugs were available in the ancient world. And the Stoic Epictetus strongly condemned suicide, as did St. Augustine. However, the Stoic Seneca obsessed about suicide, since he lived for years waiting for Nero's soldiers to knock on his door, compelling him to choose between noble suicide or a fatal blow with the sword. But St. Augustine opposed suicide under all circumstances. Can those who commit suicide be saved? Practically speaking, current church teaching says it depends on who inquires. If someone contemplating suicide asks, the answer is no, you'll go straight to hell. And if a relative of a suicide asks, the answer is yes, absolutely yes, since his mental condition likely damaged his free will. Now, Nina Abello from our local NAMI organization spoke on suicide prevention. After her brother took his life after a lifelong struggle with depression, she became a certified counselor and manned a suicide hotline, as well as founding the charity Tony's Tribe. Due to the sensitive nature, I would prefer to find a NAMI expert to assist with an extended essay on suicide prevention. Plus, I am planning a reflection on the early Christian martyrdom accounts, showing how they shared with Stoics the urge to die the good death. Sunrise Police Chief Daniel Ransone spoke on policing and mental health. We're also going to have an officer from the Broward Sheriff's Office also discuss mental health in the next month or two, in early 2026. Recently, the Alzheimer's Association proposed legislation requiring that optional mental health training be included in the CIT police training courses, which the Florida legislature passed. How do you prioritize law and order with the need to safeguard the mental health of those whom officers encounter every day on their beat? The Sunrise Police Department has recently hired several social workers for their staff. Now, although Tamara Dawes works with the police department, she also works with the homeless throughout the county through her MJ Scarlett Foundation. Nadine works with young women who are trapped by poverty into sex trafficking, who risk homelessness when they try to rise above their current circumstances. Her message is as beneficial as it is difficult to listen to. Bob Anthony, with the National Rotary Mental Health Action Group, promotes a program developed by the Boston Children's Hospital to improve the mental health care of youth through educational materials for the youth and their families, and through providing professional education for pediatricians, showing how they can both better address the mental health needs of their patients and ensure that their consultations can be reimbursed. If you invite Bob Anthony to speak, you may want to inquire if other clubs would like for him to speak, since he would be driving from Naples. We had a counselor for the advocacy group on disabilities who discussed the various conditions that fall on the autism spectrum, which means that autism is really a family of maladies. We had David Sanderson of the Western Rotary Club, Florida, speak on how his brother developed Parkinson's disease and his work with the Parkinson's Foundation, which has a walk every year. We also reviewed Michael J. Fox's book on his experiences living and coping with Parkinson's disease. Plus, we get a glimpse into how movie stars' lives differ from our own. The Broward County Council of Aging describes the programs available to the elderly. Each county or group of counties in Florida has a similar agency. Marty Kayar, property appraiser of Broward County, has developed programs to help prevent deed fraud. You can request that you be emailed when a change has been recorded on your deed. His office also has embedded Broward Sheriff's officers to investigate and prosecute deed fraud. And these two talks differ somewhat in content. And these reflections refer to a Sunrise Police Academy course that qualifies me to apply for a community service aide position. It mirrors many of the same topics and simulations from the local police academy. Many police departments, from necessity, have included mental health courses in their police training. Previous articles from a decade ago emphasized the militarization of the police. This does not appear to be the case in South Florida. Experiencing the actual local police academy would be an interesting article. Helen O'Brien spoke on the disastrous effect of the ICE raids on working people and immigrants, many of whom have been working for decades on visas that were valid but have been recently revoked. Many of these immigrants work in the service industries, including healthcare, restaurants, and construction. And Loretta Young is a long-standing member of our Sunrise Rotary Club, and she spoke on her involvement with the local junior ROTC chapters in the local high schools and their scholarship programs. Many mental health nonprofit organizations sponsor walks in Broward and Miami-Dade counties in Florida and in many cities and counties across the United States and other countries, which are great projects for Rotary Clubs and other organizations. You simply form a team and show up for the Saturday morning event. There's no fundraising obligations. Since a National Rotary organization donates to the Alzheimer's Association, local Rotary Clubs are provided a tent without further fundraising requirements. And many of the other walks will also provide a tent for Rotary Clubs. And most of these walks are in the fourth quarter of the year, at least in Florida. And we reflect on the history of the Rotary International. Rotary was founded over a century ago as a service organization and provided input in establishing the United Nations relief organizations after World War II. Rotary supports nonprofits and educational endeavors both nationally and internationally, and also locally. Plus, I also discuss why I joined Rotary and some of the benefits I see in belonging to Rotary. Another reflection will include a compendium of reflections on morality, philosophy, and history in roughly their order of views, and we can also speak on these topics for local Rotary and other clubs. And some of the interesting topics: Stoicism, including topics on friendship, virtue, aging, and other topics. Is Epicureanism really Stoicism light? Do Americans live an Epicurean lifestyle? Life of Ulysses S. Grant, his biography and his autobiography as U.S. President and before then as Administrator of the defeated Confederate States, and why he was a popular president. Is artificial intelligence more artificial than intelligent? Is Wikipedia better than AI chatbots, ChatGPT and Google Bard? Were the Platonic dialogues primarily commentaries on the Peloponnesian Wars? Was the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius a friend or a foe of Roman Christians? What was it like to be a Christian or a Jew in the European fascist regimes before and during World War II? How were the Vatican II decrees influenced by the Catholic World War II experiences? And what are Plato's and Xenophon's views on carnal love and divine love? My journalism experience includes articles in trade journals and editorials, including a stint as contributing editor for the Computers and Accounting magazine. Plus, I was the editor, as well as reporter, ad salesman, typesetter, and layout for the small weekly Mayo Free Press after I graduated from college. I am the treasurer of my local condominium association, and I will be taking the CAM exam for property managers in early 2026, mainly for journalistic credentials. My life experiences are detailed on my LinkedIn profile. If you are in Sunrise, Florida, please visit our club. You can find the meeting times on our club website. I have a video on the history of Rotary and my personal goals in joining Rotary. What is Rotary? We have a short video that we downloaded from the Rotary International website that explains the many goals of Rotary International.